everyone. This is Dr. Kiranmay Garg, and I will be presenting on rare type of congenital fibrosis of extraocular muscles, genotype-phenotype correlation. In the subsequent 5 minutes, let us try to decode the genetic blueprint and understand the phenotypic expression in CFEOM. CFEOM is a hereditary, non-progressive, restricted ophthalmoplegia, as the name indicates. It is a monogenic disorder with genetic heterogeneity. Till date, 7 genes have been implicated, which includes KIF21A, FOX2A, TUB3, TUB2B, TUB1A, ECLE1, and COL25A1. Here we report 3 cases of CFEOM studied retrospectively over time, and we tried to correlate the genotype with the phenotype in the following series. All the 3 cases had a pathogenic variant of gene TUB3 at various loci. This gene codes for neuron-specific beta tubulin, which helps in formation and function of microtubules and further guiding neuronal migration and guidance. This study reports 3 cases of CFEOM with exotropia and restriction of ocular motility to variable extent in different age groups with variable clinical presentation, but a common pathogenic gene variant. Coming to the first case, it was a 26-year-old female with outward deviation and decreased eye movements associated with drooping of upper lid. She had history of ptosis and squint surgery 18 years back, and she also had history of developmental delay and delayed menarche. As we can see in the photograph, she has loss of nasolabial fold and drooping of right corner of mouth. This is a 9-gaze photograph of the patient. She had exotropia of around 100 prism diopters with attempted divergence on down gaze and -3 to -4 grade restriction of ocular movements, vertical more than horizontal. Ocular examination showed that she had right eye best corrected vision of 20/60 with refractive correction of -4 diopter sphere, and left eye BCVA of 20/200 with +3 diopter sphere and -3.5 diopter cylinder at 40 degrees. Anterior segment examination showed anisocoria, and on fundoscopy she had a choroidal neovascular membrane. Then this was the second case who was a 7-year-old male child with developmental delay and drooping of both eye upper lid since birth. As we can see in this photograph, this child also had drooping of right corner of mouth and flat nasolabial fold on right side. He had chin elevation of AHP. The child was not very cooperative to the photographs. He had exotropia of around 50 prism diopters with attempted divergence on down gaze. Restricted motility was seen in all the gazes to variable extent. On ocular examination, both eye had best corrected vision of 20/80 with no significant refractive error. On anterior segment examination, we could see exposure keratitis, and posterior segment examination was unremarkable. Third patient was a developmentally normal 7-month-old child. He had outward deviation of right eye with associated drooping of both eye upper lid, and he had around 45 degrees of exotropia and hypotropia with restricted ocular motility in all the gazes. On ocular examination, the best corrected vision in right eye was 20/470 with +4 diopter of sphere and -1 diopter of cylinder at 80 degrees. And left eye had a best corrected vision of 20/470 with +2.5 diopter sphere and -1 diopter cylinder at 90 degrees. Anterior and posterior segment was unremarkable. So now if we see all the 3 cases together, they were similar with respect to primary position of the eye being exotropic. All had a AHP. FDT was positive in all the 3 gazes, and they had a common pathogenic variant of TUB3. So as we have seen this, all the 3 cases had phenotypic and genetic heterogeneity. And as we saw in the first 2 cases, there was variable restriction of vertical movements and features of facial nerve palsy. So we can easily confuse it with Mobius syndrome. We need to be mindful of that because in Mobius syndrome, the vertical eye movements will be full and they will be classically esotropia. So genetic tests can help confirm the diagnosis and help anticipate future problems. Thank you.
Conclusion. I mean, how does this study help?
So basically,
Speaker, if They can come, Dr. Kalyani. Yeah, sorry.
Basically, this study emphasizes the importance of studying genotype in cases of CFEOM. So, one thing is that it can further help in genetic counseling because these cases do have incomplete penetrance and variable expressivity. Second thing is that there's a one gene RYR which is implicated in these patients, and Khan et al. In their study they have also proposed that this gene is associated with malignant hyperthermia. So before taking up such patients for general anesthesia, we need to get the genetic testing done in cases of CFEOM.
What could be the cause of poor vision in your third patient?
It could be due to amblyopia 1, and also he had a refractive error also.
That was not much.
That
in
was not
third
much,
patient.
but due to ptosis, and also he was not.
There was no posture related to that.
He had AHP also. Could not be captured in the photo. He was not very cooperative, but he had an AHP.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you think the refractive error is coincidental or it is probably related to the squinting?
It is usually seen in cases of CFEOM, but it could be due to ptosis also if it is just the cylindric.
No, the refractive error, is it related to the squint or it is coincidental or the squint is related to refractive error? Alright, no problem. That's the reason I asked you the question. Okay, you can start the timing also. Last time the time